What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today we are covering the junior division of the Fort Wayne Regional Championship from Top 8. Now, I real quick about yesterday. I know in the article, in the thumbnail and in the title, it actually said juniors and not seniors, and that's my bad. I do apologize. But if you yesterday for some reason you're like, hey, there's two juniors, what are you doing? Rewatch yesterday's video because that was actually seniors. I was just silly and didn't have the right thumbnail and the title, and that should be fixed now. But today we are covering the junior division of the Fort Wayne Regional Championship that happened 2 weeks ago. So let's go over this decks and let's see what to talk about or what actually won. And the first thing you're going to see is, of course, going to be Yveltal Garbodor. All three divisions won by Yveltal decks. We know the Masters, Yveltal Garbodor won. In seniors, Yveltal Zorak won, and in the junior division, Yveltal Garbodor won. So, it's safe to assume that Yveltal is probably the best deck in standard. And I hate saying that there is a best deck, but Yveltal is definitely the best deck in standard. Yveltal Garbodor, probably the best deck in standard. Like, if you're going to regionals and your deck cannot be Yveltal Garbodor, you need to switch decks. That's the thing. I hate to say that, but that is definitely the case. But, I mean, this list is kind of interesting. I mean, they played the 3 Yveltal, the 2 Yveltal EX, so they did reverse roles. Usually, Yveltal EX is the higher played one, and Yveltal Breakthrough is the lower played one. 2-2 Shaman Garbodor, 9-4, stuff we've seen before. The other thing that gets interesting about this list is if you look, there's one Ninja Boy. Now, I don't think I saw any other list play Ninja Boy, which makes it where you swap out a base Pokemon with one in your deck. You switch everything over, like damage counters, effects, all that kind of stuff. But this can let you switch like a Fright Knight into an Yveltal EX, and Yveltal EX to a Fright Knight at any moment, or Shaman into an Yveltal as well if needed. So it's a very interesting tech that he did play. He actually did play a Ranger or Reagan. I'm not sure if I'm going to say Reagan. Don't know who that is, but Reagan Retzloff. I do apologize. But Pokemon Ranger can get rid of all effects. I don't think we saw this in any other Yveltal Garbodor deck that did win or did fairly well. Everything else is pretty standard stuff that we've seen in almost every list. 4 Max looks are going to hit the max consistency, try to get that energies on the field. The Perilous City, so you put your opponents down to 3, your side down to 3, maybe reduce damage. It's up to you. And yeah, so very simple Yveltal Garbodor. Some techie stuff like the Ninja Boy and Ranger, but besides that, pretty standard stuff. Next up is going to be Bodie Robinson with the Mega Scizor deck. Now, I know going to this tournament, everybody was hyping up Mega Scizor. They're like, yes, Mega Scizor is play. It could be blah, blah, blah. It's really good against blah, blah, blah. But it did make top 8 at Masters. It did not make any cut in senior division. And it did get second place in junior division. So, maybe Mega Scizor was somewhat of the play. I'm not going to lie to you. But I think this deck does struggle with the Yveltal Garbodor. I'm not going to lie to you. Alright, so let's go over the deck. And you have Iron Crusher, does 120, and you may discard a special ability attached to one of your opponent's active Pokemon or a stadium card to play. And this is why this card was so strong. Everybody was like, ooh, you get to discard energies? That's fantastic. And combining this with Crush Hammer, now Bodie only played 2 Crush Hammers, usually you see 4, but 2 Crush Hammers, not bad either, with 2 Enhanced Hammer, and you get discard multiple energies in one turn, which is fantastic. Of course, Scizor EX with Steel Wing at 20, making damage reduced by 20 next turn, and Gale Thrust 50. And if it comes off the bench during your turn, it does 60 more damage, so 110 damage. Of course, Garbodor with the Garbotoxin, 2 Shaman, 1 Magearna EX, which is really interesting because it makes it where it prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks except damage done to each Pokemon that have any metal energy to it. It gets Jirachi, you can't start us their shield energy off. I guess that's something you could do. You can't be paralyzed with the Froakie. And that's another thing as well. You could go for Soul Blaster. It does 120, and then damage next turn is reduced to 60. But maybe Soul Blaster could finish up a game. 1 Hoopa and 1 Cobalion, which I think Cobalion is going to be your real in-game attacker. I know you can attack a Magearna, but Cobalion is going to be the better one. It actually has a really interesting first attack. The Quick Guard makes where a base Pokemon cannot hurt you during your next turn, but you can't use Quick Guard again. But it is a very interesting thing because you can Quick Guard, make your base Pokemon can hurt you, and you can kind of just sit there and keep constantly do that. Now, if Bodhi did play Ranger, he could like quick guard the Ranger, quick guard, Ranger, quick guard, Ranger, quick guard. For very like that's it doesn't really do anything, but it's really funny and annoying to your opponent. But Revenge Blast is what we're going to really look at. Revenge Blast is 30, and then 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. So if they're taking 4 prize cards, you can do 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. If they're taking 5 prize cards, you can do 180 damage, which knocks out the majority of EX Pokemon in the game. And this is where Cabalion's going to shine. Now, the only downside about Cobalion is your opponent they're really not going to take 5 prize cards unless they knock out a Trubbish early game. You know, they're really never going to take 5 prize cards. So the max they're going to do is 120 damage. Or 150, sorry. 150. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 150. But combining this with 120 is definitely a knockout almost. It is a knockout on any EX Pokemon, which is fantastic. Now, Bodhi played 4 basic and 4 shield energy, which does minus 10 damage for your steel Pokemon, or they do minus 10 damage to you. So somebody hits you for 50, now they hit you for 40. If you have 2 shield energies, they now hit you for 30 because it does stack. 3 Sycamore, 2 Life Center. Like I said before, I love 2 Life Center almost every list. 2 in, 1 Hex Maniac. Not only do they play Garbodor, but they're playing Hex Maniac as well, just trying to make sure they shut down abilities always. 1 Skyla to search deck for any trainer card, which can get you Crush Hammer, Enhanced Hammer, a Spearlink, whatever you want to. 2 Perilous City, and 1 Reverse Valley. Now, I know usually we see Reverse Valley. It's for Dark decks, but it does have that minus damage on it, so you could make it where they do less damage to you. And with Shield Injury, you can make them do minus a lot of damage. So maybe Reverse Valley is a very interesting card, don't get me wrong. But against Dark, it's very scary because now, I mean, I guess it technically does nothing because they do 10 and then you do less than 10. So I guess it literally does nothing. But it's a very interesting card when combining this with Shield Energy. 4 Spearlink, so your turn does not end on your first turn. 4 Train as well, maximum consistency, same for Field Seeker. And 3 Ultra Ball. Now, the 3 Ultra Ball is very interesting. Like, usually you always see 4, but Bodhi's going to decide to play 3. I guess because once they Hoopa, all they really need is a Mega Scizor. But man, I mean, obviously Bodhi did like fantastic. They did make second place, so congrats to them. But I mean, 4 Ultra Ball is definitely like, I don't know. I love that a lot more. If Bodhi's watching this and they can say why they play 3, it'd be really interesting to know why they play that. But 2 Crush Hammer, 2 Enhanced Hammer, 2 Flowstone, 2 Mega Turbo to try to power Mega Scizor out of nowhere, and 1 Super Rod. Now, one thing that you could play that some people could play in their deck is Max Potion, because you can Max Potion Mega Scizor, Mega Turbo Energy. Be good to go that way. So this is the second place Mega Scizor Garbodor deck, which I'm happy that something else besides Yveltal is in the finals. Or I think senior division was Mega Gardevoir, correct? No, Greninja. Okay, Greninja. Okay, yeah. So I mean, I'm just happy that something else made top 2 that we haven't seen really. I mean, it only made 2 places. It made top 8 at Masters and second place in juniors. Next is going to be Mega Gardevoir. We covered a lot about this. Covered a lot about this deck yesterday. So if you want to learn more about this, make sure you check out yesterday's video. But Despair Ray, 110, discard each Pokemon on your bench, and you do 10 additional damage. We actually played a split of the Life Leap and Link Blast. I think the Life Leap is better because you need 1 energy attack. Shining Wind does 100. And you have during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon has no weakness. Gardevoir does have the Link Blast. You can do additional damage. And Luminous Blade can do 120. It's definitely up to your call. I've seen both players play both. I'm not sure which one's better. But I definitely think the Life Leap one is a little bit better because you can do that 20 damage out of nowhere. But for Shaman, 2 Dragonite with a pull-up, 2 Hoopa, and the 1 Rattata with a Mischievous Vein. And like I said, like in yesterday's video, you could play this to discard Fighting Spirits off the active to take those guaranteed knockouts against those EX Pokemon. And you can reuse Rattata over and over again with Dragonite, pull it up out of your discard pile because it's any 2 Pokemon, not just EX. Non-Fairy, they're not going to play Karen. In this list, we actually see 1 Brock's Grit to shuffle 6 Pokemon energies from your discard pile back into your deck. And one thing I do love about this list is they do play 2 Hex Maniac to shut down Volcanion. I think that's a fantastic play for sure. I mean, Hex Maniac is broken regardless, but Just being able to shut down your opponent over and over again is fantastic. One Geovitus game to do additional 20 damage if needed. One Lysander, I mean, I guess that's okay. Two Escape Rope, which we saw yesterday's list. A lot of these Gardevoirs playing Escape Rope. I mean, I guess it works because all you have to do is like switch the hoop out of the active, then you discard it, and then you never Lysander stall. But I wonder why people are choosing Escape Rope over Switch is my big question. I guess maybe get Fright Night out of the active because it's so dominant. Like, that's what I imagine, right? You Escape Rope and get Fright Night out of the active, and then put a link involved, that kind of stuff, because Fright Night will shut you down. But they can just switch to another Fright Night, so that might not always work. But two Mega Turbo and two Super Rod. Like I said yesterday, we covered a lot about these Mega Gardevoirs lists. Next, oh man, hold on. Let's see. One, two. This will play three Rattatas. Holy cow. And three Haluchas. What? Alright, hold on. Austin, we'll go to you in a second. That's a very interesting list. This Mega Guardy played a Bunnelby. Oh, what? All these Guardies lists are different. Alright, so so three Guardies. Every single one is different. So we won't skip right now. We'll just go to Oscar. Next up in top four was Oscar Alvarez playing the Zygarde Garbodor deck. No carping, just going to play straight Zygarde. And yeah, so Zygarde does have those three attacks. It has the Land Pulse 20, Standing Card to Play does 20 more, Cellstorm 60, Heal 30, and Land Draft for 100. And that's going to be his only attacker. I mean, he has a 2-2 Garbodor, 2 Shaman, and 1 Hoopa. Does he play Power Memory? He does play 2 Power Memory. Discard 3 energy attached Pokemon, you do 200 damage. It only works when it's attached to Zygarde. And they played 4 Max Elixir. I'm just saying, Oscar, before Max Elixir, just try to look at top 6, attach a basic energy to a Pokemon. Own your bench that is basic as well. So basic and basic is how you always remember this card. But they're actually going to play 4 puzzle times. That's very interesting. 4 puzzle times. To use any 2 cards out of your discard pile, or grab any 2 cards out of your discard pile, which can get you into the Max Elixir. Maybe, I'm trying to see, maybe a Brock's Grit. Brock's Grit can shuffle those energies back into your deck, then use the Max Elixir again to keep the combo going, which is fantastic. There's only 2 Fuzz Tone. I'd actually like to see like a switch maybe, because once you use the Power Memory, you discard all of your energy. And I mean, he does play Olympia, so you can switch that way, but there's no way to like shuffle cards in and then use Max Elixir. I mean, obviously it did work for Oscar because he did make top 4. Another interesting thing about this list, he played 3 Crush Hammers, just try to discard energies off the field. So it's like an energy denial fighting deck. Sorry, I thought I saw Max Potion, but it's Max Elixir. Sorry, it's my fault. But yeah, just, really consistent Zygarde, 1 Faded Town to do 2 additional damage to Mega Evolutions, 2 Parallel 1/1/1/1 line, and 3 Sycamore as well. But yeah, they do play the 4 puzzle times to reuse 82 cards out of discard pile, and 1 enhanced damage. So 3 crushing and 1 enhanced, just to try to like put your opponent in a bad situation. But yep, only attacker is going to be Zygarde. No Ranger either, so they kind of like, I guess, YOLO'd against like Regice decks or Jolteon decks. Yeah. But maybe you're just so fast, you knock them out before they can do anything. You do play the 1 enhanced hammer and the crush hammer, so maybe you can slow them down that way. But Valpum does seem like a somewhat bad matchup. Once again, like always, Pokemon. If you're watching this for some reason, Pokemon, please put the brackets in here so we can see who played against who and how their matches went. That would be fantastic. Pokemon, guys, if you know Pokemon, tell them to put brackets here so that way I can tell who played against who and who won what, and that'd be fantastic. But we can't right now. Alright, so next up is going to be Austin McKay, which we already kind of cheated. It's another Mega Gardevoir list. Going to play the Link Blast, Luminous Blade 1 for Shaman, and 3 Hawlucha with the Sudden Cyclone. What? Alright, so Sudden Cyclone, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may have your opponent switch his or her active Pokemon with his or her bench Pokemon. Alright, so I could definitely see this. Like, you can use it, instead of it, like, they play Escape Rope, they do play 1 Escape Rope and 1 Switch as well. But this one, you don't have to play it down. You can actually use Dragonite to get out of the active spot. And yeah, we're going to use Sudden Cyclone to probably get, like, a Fright Night Yveltal out of the active spot. Then you use Link, whatever. And the attack with the non-EX, you can set a Cyclone, bring a Pokemon off the bench. Like, that's a really interesting attack, I'm not gonna lie to you. It seems it actually seems really good. Like, just to switch out your opponent's active and be able to attack whoever. Like, if they leave a non-EX in the act spot and they have to switch to an EX Pokemon, you can, like, take a cheap knockout that way, which is fantastic. Once again, 3 Rattatas of the mischievous vein. They're making sure they are popping off these tools on the axe spot. Remember, Rattata is only on the tool when you play this onto your bench. It's nowhere else, just on the tool, or just on the active. Okay. With 2 Dragonite, 2 Hoopa, with 8 Fairy. They're actually going to play Karen over Brox, and that's going to be the difference between some of these like Gardevoirs lists. Some people are going to play Brox, some are going to play Karen, and it's going to be up to you to figure out which one you like. I mean, you could play like 3 Super Rod instead if you want to, so that way you play Super Rod and a supporter card during the turn. But like I said, it's a preference up to you. But 2 Parallel City, we talked about this yesterday, so that way you can negate yourself down to 5 and put your opponent down to 3 before they Parallel City your side instead. 2 Skyfill for Ultra Ball, everything else we know about. Okay. Next up, it's going to be another Mega Gardevoir. This one's actually going to be Brock's Grit instead of the Karen. And go play Delinquent as well, so that way you can Delinquent your opponent's, or Delinquent a Stadium, put another one down if you wanted to. The rule with Stadiums is you can only put one down during your turn, though. So you can't, like, Delinquent Stadium, that's cheating. You can, like, maybe Stadium the next turn, Delinquent Stadium, whatever, which is fantastic. Or you can discard the Delinquent that your opponent put down, which is great as well. But just another Mega Gardy with 3 Dragonite, Rattata, and 1 Bunnelby with the Burrow and a Rototiller. I mean, Bunnelby could be really clutch all of a sudden. Like, if your opponent doesn't know you play this and they have 2 cards left, you can Burrow, discard top 2 card of your opponent's deck twice and win that way. Because it does have the Barrage trait, so you can attack twice. And also, you can use Rototiller to put any 2 cards from your discard pile back into your deck. Maybe get back Hoopa, which is the main thing you want to do. Or Hoopa and Dragonite. Or maybe, no, Dragonite. What I'm talking about, you want to put Dragonite back in your deck to reuse it that way. But you already played Brock's Grit, so maybe it's more for a deck out reason with Bunnelby. I'm not 100% sure. But besides that, everything else seems pretty... okay, hold on. 1 Buddy Birdie Rescue. To put a Pokemon from your discard pile back into your hand. Each player puts a Pokemon from their discard pile back into their hand. So this way you can grab, like, you can Buddy Rescue for Dragonite, Dragonite for Hoopa, and then, like, Scoundrings for 3EX Pokemon, and take knockouts that way, which is fairly interesting. The Arc play 1 Fairy Drop as well, but everything else, yep, that's just another list. Liam, congrats to you for making top 8. Did we say Austin McKay? Also, congrats to top 8 as well. But next up, it's going to be John Gavin playing a Volcanion deck. Alright, so something interesting that we have not talked about the past 2 days. But Volcanion, we have talked about before. It made 2 top 8 appearances. In Masters, yeah, just top 8. They both did, unfortunately, lose in top 8, if I remember correctly. Yeah. But still, Volcanion is a really, really strong deck. Volcanion EX with the Steam up, making your fire Pokemon do your basic fire Pokemon do additional 30 damage. Volcanion with Power Heater, 20. Attach a fire to 2 of your bench Pokemon. 2 Shaman and 1 Hoopa. We know these cards do, we've seen them before. Volcanion EX does have the Volcanion Heat, does 130, and can't attack during their next turn. But you do have Ranger to get out of this to remove any effects. You have Olympia to switch to Baby Volcanion with the Floatstone. You play Switch as well, and Escape Rope. So you see, there's a lot of different ways to get out of that Volcanion Heat lock. Once you play Volcanion Heat, don't worry, you can attack again, but you just have to find a way around that ruling with like Ranger, Escape Rope, Switch, Olympia. All these cards can negate that, which is fantastic. Alright, so that's going to be all the Pokemon in 12 Fire, which is pretty standard in almost every single Fire deck. But 3 Sycamore, 2 in, 1 Fisherman to get the energies back into your hand, 1 in, 1 Olympia, Ranger, we already talked about Ranger before, 2 Faded Town and 2 Parallel City. Now, Faded Town is going to help you out a little more against your Mega Evolution problems, because, you know, Mega Evolutions are sometimes hard to knock out. You have to, like, triple Steam up with the Volcanion Heat to take a knockout. But with Faded Town, you can do additional 40 damage out of nowhere, and maybe that can help you swing the matchup for sure. Before Max looks through everything else we've talked about in this video. Oh, Energy Evil. Put 2 basic injury cards from your discard pile back into your hand. And this is how we're going to reuse our Fire Energies. We're going to Energy Evil, put it back into your hand, and put 2 Fire Energies in your hand and reuse them that way, which is fantastic. I personally like 4 Energy Retrieval, but it's up to you. It's definitely a preference. But I know a lot of people are playing the 4 Energy Retrieval. Alright, and last up but not least is going to be another Greninja Break deck. Alright, so Greninja is making cut in every single division. Made top 4 in Masters, Finals, in the junior or senior division and top eight, and the junior division. Our seniors top finalists, masters top eight, and no top four, and the juniors top eight. So Greninja been cut in every single list, and this one is going to be a very interesting list. We know what all these cards do. We've covered them before, right? Talonflame we talked about yesterday. But the key difference here is BGRX. We have not seen this card at all. BGRX has that double scrapper. Discard up to 2 tools cards attached to your opponent's Pokemon. Now, what this could do is discard Flowstones off Garbodor, and that way you can start using Greninja Break. The only downside about this is your opponent can just slap another tool on Garbodor, and then you still can't use your break. But the interesting thing about this is then you use tool double scrapper again, and maybe they'll run out of tools. I don't know if Beedrill is an exact answer to Garbodor. I personally don't think so. I just think against Garbodor, you just play burst balloons and you do a lot of damage, and that's how you win instead. But Peter is going to autoplay Beedrill. But Peter, first of all, congrats making top 8. That is fantastic. But Beedrill with a double scrapper, discard 2 tools attached to your opponent's Pokemon. But 8 water, 1 splash, 1 Jirachi with a Stardust, and everything else seems pretty normal except for, okay, hold on, there's 2 cards that don't seem normal. The first up is Wally. Now, Wally, I mean, it's not normal, but it's not bad either. Wally lets you evolve on your first turn, so if you have a Froakie, you can Wally into Frogadier and Water Duplets on your first turn, well, not on your first turn, if you're going first on turn, if your opponent goes and then you go, so turn 2, you can, of course, you can't attack on your first turn either way. If you're going first, you can't attack. I don't know what I'm talking about right now, guys. If you're going first, you can't attack. Alright, so if you go second, you can actually Wally and Water Duplets on your first turn and get set up that way. Also, you get evolved into Greninja, then Wally into Break, which is great as well. But you can't Wally and then evolve, if that makes sense. You can evolve, then Wally, but you can't Wally, then evolve. So yeah, that's how that wording kind of works. I guess how you say it. But 2 Faded Town, you do 2 additional damage to Fade and Mega Evolutions. We talked about this all day. 4 Burst Balloons, so you do 6 damage to a Pokemon who hits you. And 1 Max Potion is the other instant guard. You heal all damage from your Pokemon, and if you do, you discard all the energy. Both Greninja, sometimes you're going to put the energy back into your hand with the Moonlight Slash. You can do 60, return it back into your hand for 80, and then next turn you get Max Potion, heal all the damage off the Greninja, put the Water G back, and Moonlight Slash that way. And there we go, guys. There's the top 8 list from the Junior Division. I want to say congrats to all these guys. Reagan, Bodie, William, Oscar, Austin, Liam, John, and Peter. Now, the good thing about this list, or about this top 8, is there's only 1 Yveltal Garbodor. Even though there's only 1, it still won the whole, Junior Division top 8. But like I said earlier, if you're planning to go to regionals and standard, be prepared for Yveltal. It is definitely the best deck right now, as we saw the past 3 days. But guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions, let me know down below in the comments as well. I'm always watching and listening. But guys, hope you have a great day. Alrighty, bye. Alright guys, I just want to give a quick shout out to our 3 sponsors, 60 Cards, Yeti Gaming, and the Pokemon Company International. Links to everything will be down below in the description. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Alrighty.